is our duty to fight for our freedom.
We went for an hour and a half talking about a lot of subjects, but I wanted to look at Biden, and I wanted us to grade Biden, give us our thoughts on Biden thus far, and our biggest praise or disappointment for Joe Biden. I don't think it'd be a lot of the former there. But when it comes to corruption, since when did corruption not become a big deal for the progressive movements? And that's what we cover when it comes to entertainment. All of a sudden, entertainment corruption it's not a big deal no more. I thought this is why we elected you. I mean, there's important policies. Medicare for all is very important. The progressive policy is very important. But a lot of people don't remember. I remember because I was following it while it was happening at the time. The original goal of Justice Democrats was to end the corruption. Like the whole point of them was not taking corporate money. So my whole question I always pose to people is, what's the fucking point?
Like the corporate money, that's
exactly
nothing. Why even go for corporate money when there's so much sheep out here that will throw hundreds and thousands of dollars at you? You know, all you got to do is tell them what they want to hear. Man, these people believe the stripper. They really believe that stripper. And it's crazy because I believe, like when I go out and I talk to people like in the hood that has no lights, no gas type shit, and I'm really trying to help somebody, and they don't understand why their life is like this, and I'm talking to them, I'm trying to like, look, you know, putting the pieces together, they're like, no, there's no way. So, you know, a lot of shit is gonna have to start with educating the mind, educating the hurt, educating the poor, and going to their homes and letting them know, like, look, turn off the fucking TV, because a lot of people in these fucking hoods, man, they watch CNN like all day. CNN is in the barbershops, liquor stores, all that shit. MSNBC, that's all you're gonna see. I'm like, turn this shit off.
By design. And once again, like when I was canvassing in South Carolina, I mean, I'll literally ask people about Bernie, and the media narrative was that Black people didn't like his platform. And anyone who was actually putting work for Bernie in his campaign, I know Rome did a lot of work traveling and talk to people on Bernie campaign as well. Anyone who actually did campaign work knew that was bullshit.
Right.
They knew, because I would talk to people and literally they'd be like, they either did know Bernie, which sounds crazy to us, but these people only had CNN and MSNBC in the background, where Bernie is just an afterthought. Whenever they did cover, maybe 2 minutes afterthought, not that big of a deal. So it's not the repetition. When you're not into politics, you need that repetition to start learning who these people are. And I realized that once I started talking to people, I'm like, yo, these people they don't know who Bernie is. And then they did know who Bernie was. Their perception of them was completely off because they listened to CNN and MSNBC. So they don't even know what's really true about him, the people who actually did know him. Now, I want to get back, because this last segment we'll do here before we wrap up, because I want to go around and I want to ask anyone what their general thoughts on Biden thus far. I'm going to start off first. And this comes to my original point I was making, how for some reason no one care about corruption no more. No one care. Like, I thought healthcare was supposed to be one of the most important issues for the progressive movement and Medicare for all. Look at this article. I read this article a while ago, and I covered it on my show. This one here. But this one covers how Joe Biden backed away from the public option. But the reason why this is so important, because it highlights the corruption of Joe Biden. So my question that we all lay out to people, and that we kept telling, like, how is Joe Biden better than Trump thus far? My good friend lay out the non-voting felon on Twitter. He literally put this. He literally said that Biden has been worse than Trump thus far, and people melted down. And I'm glad that he did pretty well in that thread, because he literally held it on. Like, bro, I want you to explain to me what's the difference between Biden and Trump, and no one was able to do it. Maybe I'll find the tweets that you guys are talking about. I think he did a great job on that tweet, because as soon as I saw that tweet, I was like, bro, he about to get some shit for this. But I think he's right. Like, I knew he was gonna get some shit. But it was ratioed in the sense that a lot of people comment on it, but he got a lot of likes as well. So I think they did overall pretty well. But this is what I'm talking about when it comes to corruption, because there were a lot of things that people was yelling me about in terms of voting for Joe Biden. And one of them was his support of the public option. Like, you gotta vote for Joe Biden because you support public option. How can you consider yourself a progressive or a leftist if you don't want to advance on healthcare? And when I was talking to Vosh, and people got mad at me, I'm like, bro, I don't, like, he kept asking me on his platform, I'm like, bro, I don't care about his platform. Why you keep bringing up his fucking platform? I don't care. Like, I literally told him that Joe Biden is not gonna do none of the things he said. over time, my position on during that interview is gonna age gracefully because he would literally listen like all his platform. Like, bro, none of this shit matters. None of this shit matters. Now let's dive into the Biden corruption. This is why he backed away from the public option, and this is as corrupt as it gets. There's no Trump corruption that is more corrupt. There's a lot of corruption on Trump, but this is the same shit. So you had a healthcare insurance group, the Partnership for American Healthcare Future. They spent $4.5 million advertising attacking Medicare for all. They launched a ton of ads attacking Bernie Sanders and helping Joe Biden. That led to Joe Biden's strong performance in South Carolina. But now, if you look at their tax returns, and you look at who they donated to, that what this article lays out here. They were supporters of they was open supporters of Joe Biden. Like so these healthcare groups that was heavily supportive of Joe Biden during the primary, to just to sum up that long article, they gave money to Joe Biden throughout the primary because he was one of the few candidates who were like, no, I'm gonna take corporate money. Fuck y'all, fuck you liberal fucking hippies with their no corporate plus. So he took money from these healthcare groups, right? And then he drops the public option, which is exactly what they want. So what did he install instead? Let me pull the article right back up for you guys on the stream here. He replaced it with an expansion of COBRA. Mm-hmm. He want to push people to the ACA plan. Let me see, make sure I got on my stream here. Once again, he want to put people into this ACA plan, and they want to subsidize COBRA. And this will be amazing plan for the health insurance company. I mean, the ACA was already a boon to health insurance companies where the profits skyrocketed, right? Now, but this is the worst part. It's not like they did this because they expect this to be the great healthcare plan. He did this because of corruption. Because look at these plans. Look at these plans. While the marketplace was billed as allowing people to shop for health insurance, the reality, the state exchanges offer few choices, and most are expensive. We're talking about the program that Joe Biden is pushing for and advocating here, and the results of that. The average low-cost premium for a bronze level plan under Joe Biden's plan will be $321 this year. And then you have the deductibles, like when you look at this plan, nearly $5,900.
Damn.
So Biden healthcare plan is not affordable for anybody. Like we talking about middle class, there's studies that show most people can't afford a $400 emergency. Most people can't pay these goddamn deductibles, and that's why Obamacare was hot trash, because people be covered, but they can't afford the deductibles, can't afford the healthcare. It is unaffordable, and Biden want to go back to that and subsidize COBRA, and that's just one issue. I mean, healthcare is something that dear to my heart. I talk about this all the time. But when you look at this corruption, now let's add up everything I just talked about. Biden takes money from healthcare insurance groups. They run on the public option because he can't advocate for Medicare for all because he don't want to grow in more popularity than it already is. Can't risk that. So they run out public option because anything else will make him unelectable. The progressives will be all over him. The AOC, Bernie, them being naive fucking idiots. Because I said I don't believe anything on his platform. They were like, oh, Brian supports a public option, even though he takes health insurance company money. Blah, blah. Bro, how do y'all not know he was going to lie about this? So he turned around and lied about healthcare. That's just one issue. I'll bring up this one issue because this highlights the corruption. Once again, when you see him take healthcare insurance money and then him back away from health insurance, I mean, from a public option, once again, I think it's trash, but it's better than our current system. My question I want to pose to you people is, how is that any different from the standard corruption we've seen for Donald Trump? There's no lesser of corruption. There's no lesser evil when it comes to corruption. Either you're corrupt or you're not. And now, once again, I'm gonna turn to my panel now and ask their opinion on Biden, because I can go all day on this. I covered how he backed up on Iran deal. Once again, another thing that people told me that you gotta support Joe Biden because of Iran deal. I literally tweeted this out in October. I showed it to on my show before. I said, bro, I would not be surprised if he escalates tensions again on Iran. And people are like, you're crazy. I'm like, how do you guys not see this coming? The president do not change foreign policy in a massive way, and that has never happened in the last 3-4 decades. The president used to come in and they continue the policies of the previous president. They do that because they get direction from the CIA, the intelligence community, and the military-industrial complex. And that's why, despite the fact that Donald Trump ran on anti-war, he still continued the wars and expanded them because he's not calling the fucking shots. That's why there's no way they was gonna let Bernie with his anti-imperialist measures win. Zero chance. New York Times story in the summer. The Democratic Party was one of the richest party damaged in order to start Bernie Sanders. Their plan worked, the Voltron plan worked. But if that plan didn't work, I guarantee you they would do shit even worse to make sure he didn't win.
Well,
That's my conclusion. I come to now. And now go ahead, Jay. I'll let you go. I've been rolling for a while.
I would give Joe Biden a D. And
there you go.
The reason I would not give him an F is because he literally could be even worse than he is. Like
that's fair. That's fair.
$200 survival checks. You know what I mean? Like it could be just a whole array of things that could be literally worse. We could already be on. He could already be sending troops to Iran for a war. So that's the only reason why he doesn't get an F, because he can be a lot worse. But everything that Joe Biden is doing and what you're describing is neoliberalism. So regardless of who's in the White House, neoliberalism is always there. Neoliberalism is always there. And then going from Donald Trump to Joe Biden is worse, in my opinion, because you're going from incompetent neoliberalism to competent.
Yeah, that was me and Jackie was saying on our show all the time. You literally just train someone who's more competent. Go ahead. Sorry, finish your thought, Jack.
Yeah, no, and I'm just saying. So you have that. You go into competent neoliberalism, and then you add the fact that the mainstream media will cheerlead for them, for the Democrats, instead of the Trump, instead of Donald Trump. And a perfect example is this pandemic. Nothing has changed about this pandemic, but their reporting has. Joe Biden is the one that's in office, but what has changed about the pandemic?
You notice that they're not obsessed.
Like we still want to reopen schools, and now because Joe Biden is saying it, now it's a different story. So that's why he's worse, because you have a competent leader with the cheerleading squad, the ultimate propagandists in mainstream media cheerleading for him.
Amen. And that would make him very, very dangerous. And I cover this on my show as well. I know I'm not going to dive into all the sources because I want to focus on this segment. But the people in the media are openly admitting this. Jim McCosker was asked about this because Jim McCosker rose to prominence because how hostile he was to Donald Trump. He was asked about whether he would oppose Biden and be adversarial to Biden the same way he would adversarial to Trump. And his response was no. Because he said, and once again, he didn't even hide it. When I read the interview, I was shocked that he literally just said it. He said there is professional solidarity among the reporter class to go after Trump because he attacked the media. I'm like, bro, you said the quiet part out loud. You literally said the only reason the media was hard on Trump because the Trump hurt the little media's feelings. Yeah. Because you calling them fake news. That was it. So overall, I don't want to cut Jay off. So overall, you would say Joe Biden got a D. Is there anything else you want to add before I move on?
Well, one more thing. I would give him a D, but Joe Biden will absolutely be an F by the end of the term because we will be in another war. There will be cuts to the social safety net. That's coming. And all he's going to do is virtue signal and distract while he's doing all this other stuff behind your back. And that's going to happen. And then mainstream media is going to create this rosy picture. Everything is great, just like they're trying to push this. His approval rating is 62%. Last point I'm going to make. If you don't take anything away from what I said in this conversation, approval ratings and polls are meant to convince you, not inform you of what people think. Because the people who are looking at it, who wasn't part of the 62%, they're going, well, if everybody else says he's pretty good, then he must be pretty good. So now you're not going to challenge him on different things. And that's sort of how it works. You get what I'm saying? Go ahead.
Well said. So I had Jackie be next. Jackie, overall, what's your thoughts on Biden thus far? What grade will you give him? And why will you give him that grade? The floor is yours.
I think Jay was quite generous with that D. I would give him an F because the first thing he did was come in and undo the one good thing Trump did.
Yeah.
Trump put a limit on insulin, and one of the first things Joe Biden did in office, before giving us the stimulus checks that he promised were coming out, that he of course backtracked on, before implementing any kind of plan on the pandemic, which, by the way, he said, like during the general election, he said he had this great plan. 2 days in office, and he's like, yeah, I'm not going to do anything. I can't do anything other than what Trump did, which means you never really had a plan. So you were lying. Before doing anything that's going to materially help Americans, what did he do? He undid not the ICE things that everybody was trying to, everybody wanted the kids out of cages. I don't know why y'all thought he was going to take the kids out of the cages and he's the one who put the kids in the cages, but whatever. The first thing he did was to undo the executive order that Trump did that put a cap on insulin so that the insulin prices could spike during a pandemic. If you don't get an F for that, I don't know what else you could get one for. Like, what else is qualifying for an F?
To me, Jackie, I didn't hear that. Say that part again. So Donald Trump had an executive order that capped the profit or the price that
I found it
for insulin, and then Joe Biden came in and undid that.
Yes.
Correct.
That was one of his first executive orders. Was
Here's
to
the story.
Undo the executive order that Trump did. Because remember when Trump first came in office and he said that his plan was going to be so much better than Obamacare, and everybody's like, you literally don't have a plan. And he's like, oh yeah. And then he did this executive order that put a cap. He's like, see, I'm going to make medicine cheaper. And he basically just like, it really only put a cap on insulin, but at least it was something. Yeah. And that was the one thing that Biden undid. So for that alone, you get an F. Not to mention lying about the $2,000, saying, "Oh, I meant only $1,400." And hey, I want to bring Republicans in so that they can drive it down even lower because I really don't want to give you anything at all. And honestly, we're gonna we met March so that hopefully we can kind of push it off till tax season and just turn it into a tax credit because that's what Republicans do. He is no better than a Republican. He is a Republican. Let's just not lie to ourselves.
He's a Mitch McConnell Democrat. That's what I call him. Literally the same ideology. And I'm not talking about the 90s Joe Biden. I'm not talking about 80s Joe Biden. Yesterday, I played a clip where he was literally saying he agreed with Mitch McConnell on economic priorities, like trickle-down economics. That's why he was advocating for the Bush tax cuts and making it permanent. And he said the only bipartisan agreement that we come up with was economic policy. That literally what he said during his press conference that was never covered, that somehow did not get I remember it was resurfaced like a few weeks ago, and everyone was like, why the fuck didn't this get resurfaced during the primary? Because it was a very damning clip where he pretty much was saying, yeah, the tax cut for the rich is economic policy that we must advocate for. This is the story that Jackie was discussing. I'm not going to go through the whole article, but this is the Biden administration freezes rule on community health center insulin discounts. And the funny thing is, man, I'm gonna turn it on someone else earlier. I'm not gonna be too long on this, but I'm very, very fucking tired of the media apologizing for Joe Biden because I'll cover this on my show and the liberal responses to this. Because while I was looking for the story, there was a Snopes article. It was like, oh, technically this is not true. There was social media people saying this, but there was technically temporary. Like, no, bro, there's literally no reason for Joe Biden to do this. Because I was curious. I was curious when the story dropped. I'm like, what's the argument for doing this? And the argument from liberals and Joe Biden administration, we actually look into the story, is they said the people who was providing the insulin, the healthcare, they said this will be unnecessary because this creates more bureaucracy and a middleman. Because they said they was already providing savings to their customers when it comes to insulin prices. So the community health centers that was saying, they were like, we already saving people money on our insulin, and now the only thing you're doing, you're getting the government in charge, and that slowed down the process. But the media took that and spin it like, well, people actually okay with Biden freezing this. No, people was not okay with this. Customers were not okay with this, and they were not saving money. That was the healthcare centers, and the media was inaccurately reporting that. So imagine, I'm trying to think of a scenario that would be as hilariously backward as that. Almost, it's so absurd, I almost can. Like imagine you had people passing out food. This is the most basic example I can come up with on top of my head. People passing out food, right? And then the people who organize and selling these food, they're like, we got great discounts, like Price Chopper. Price Chopper in my area, local, they do great savings for people who are part of the membership plan. But then you have people who still couldn't afford the food. And then the government like, all right, we're gonna put this order in place to make the food more affordable for you guys. Then they halt that order, and then the grocery chain was like, "We already providing savings for people who are look at our discounts, look at our savings." That's literally the same thing that's happening with this story. When I actually looked into it, and then once again I looked at, I didn't read the full Snow article. I might cover that. And then when I was looking for this article, only reason I'm bringing this up because they were like, "It's kind of true." And anyone who knows is literally just they just apologize for Democrats. Literally ran by people who donate to the Hillary Clinton campaign, and they were doing defense for Hillary Clinton and the Democrats. So whenever there's these, whenever people criticize the Democrat Party, they will always use technicalities. Well, technically that was only a half truth. Like no, this motherfucker halted drug prices, and that hurt the local community for doing that. But anyway, that's my spill. I apologize for that. Let me I'll get to RJ next. Overall, what's your thoughts on Joe Biden? What grade will you give him? And you don't have to be super long, but what's your reasoning for that?
Okay, so my overall, I'll be in the middle of Compton and Jackie. I'll give him a D-. Yeah, mostly. Okay, so I have like a couple points. So I have the good and the bad. I have 5 good things he did and 9 bad things he did, and like 2 things I'm half and half on. So like one thing I felt was a good thing is it kind of avoided the impeachment nonsense because it kept him on focus of COVID, and plus it would force him to pick both sides a little bit. Now, to me, I just thought it was kind of useless, especially since it's within the 100 days of his presidency. So I give him credit for that. I also kind of give him a credit for kind of avoiding the insurrection talks about, oh, we need to punish these people and create new laws and stuff. To me, that's BS as well. I like that he didn't double compromise. We all know he compromised initially, but I like that he didn't do it even further in terms of the stimulus checks. Even though it was supposed to be 2,000, but he brought it to 1,200. At least he didn't go even further. So, the bar is the floor.
Yep.
I also like that he rejoined the Paris Climate Accord. Once again, that's no Obama incrementalist thing, but okay, it's better than nothing. Once again, the bar is the floor. I also like that he endorses alternative energy for climate change. Yeah, but I have some concerns about who's going to implement that and who can control that. And here comes the bad, which is this is great. Rolled back to 2K checks. Rolled back on healthcare, so like single payer, all the stuff he said he was going to do. Rolled back on that. Rolled back on the Iran nuclear deal. We discussed that earlier. Shilling for near attendance. So that's the funniest thing is, Uncle Joe loves to say, "Oh, I'm going to bring America together. We're going to work together. We're going to get rid of the pain in society." Yet you bring the spawn of Satan into your administration, and that's supposed to make both sides happy. Okay. Brought in the most establishment pieces for his government. So like Janet Yellen, some of these other corrupt neoliberals. He stopped pushing for $15 minimum wage when he has all the power in his party to do so, but he says, "Oh, I'm so concerned about Republicans, and I'm not sure if it's ever going to finish." It'll finish if you make it finish, damn it. He increased want for more warmongering, so him with Venezuela is going to be worse than Trump in terms of Venezuela. But of course he wants to fix things in Yemen. We'll see how that goes. Took money from every big interest group, took more money from Donald Trump. So that scares me because now every big interest group, big oil, big energy, big Wall Street, that's big energy, especially now. Like they gave money to Trump, into Trump and Biden like crazy. Let's see, reverse Trump's executive order on insulin. That was pretty bad. That the one good thing Trump did, that's gone. One thing I will say I'm half on is the whole Buy American thing. I feel like it's just a copycat from Trump, but if incremented well, it could be good. But if it's just okay, let's listen to the American corporations, the American oligarchs we have, and then force the American people to buy from them at an inflated price just to say it's American, then I disagree with that. Like in terms of us using and building up our manufacturing sector and working with unions like you fucking promised, then that would be great. But this is Joe Biden. One thing I would say half and half on is like alternative energy again. It could be a good thing. Obama tried to use this law or whatever to regulate emissions and stuff for electric cars and also for gas vehicles. If implemented correctly, it could be good, but we all know Biden's too old and doesn't have the political courage. And so that's why I gave him an overall D-.
Sounds good, man. That's a pretty comprehensive breakdown. I just now realized I didn't give my letter grade throughout my whole entire rant. And I actually like during Ariel was thinking, I'm like, damn, I'm kind of torn on this. But I go with D. I go with D. And the only reason I chose Nick, I'm sorry, the only reason I chose, forget what you chat came up there and fucked me up. the only reason I picked D instead of F. And once again, I don't know. Once again, I was debating this in my head. I don't know if this is enough. Only reason I did D instead of F because he proved me wrong on one thing. I thought that Joe Biden would be more hawkish on Russia than Trump, but it's so funny. He's been easier on Russia than Trump thus far. When he got back into the nuclear arms agreement and that nuclear arms deal, I was kind of shocked. Like, damn, I didn't know he would do that. That's the only reason. Like that is the only reason why I'll give him a D instead of F. Also, because I think he could be worse. Just like Competence said, I think it could get worse than what he's doing right now. But I definitely see the arguments for it being an F overall because he's been an absolute failure in terms of what he promised. But I'll give him a D instead of F just because I'm surprised that he got back into the nuclear arms agreement. That's the only reason I chose that. If he was hawkish on Russia, I would give him a straight F without any hesitation. But him backing up on Iran deal is tragic. Actually, man, I was saying this is hard because I'm like, I want to give him an F because his inability
overall.
Yeah,
overall, you came in. Even the little things that he did promise, he walked back on.
Yeah.
Like overall, that's a failure. Like if we was to really test this in the public school, he'd still get a goddamn F. You know, Bush didn't even leave his ass behind.
So why are you talking? What you might well chime in since you are in. What's your grade on Biden thus far and why?
Yeah, I feel like he get an F. He get an F for walking back everything. He get an F for just being him, just being alive.
That's fair.
He's just a fucking failure, like all around. But as far as you know, him in the White House, yeah, that's a failure. Lying about the student loan debt and lying about telling the public that he can't do nothing about it with an executive order. That's a lie. That fuck that nigga. That's an F. That's all I really got to say.
Yeah, I mean, I can see because like there's like different levels of F. Because there's like you can get 15% and be 50%. So that's a pretty strong argument for giving him an F because like he's not technically F yet, but he can get worse. But maybe he is already F and he either drop to 50 to 15%. Once again, I was thinking. Go ahead. I think that was Jackie I heard.
That was me. Yeah.
Yep.
I know it's rare you hear my voice. It's okay. Here's the thing. The reason why he deserves an F, whether y'all are going to give it to him or not, but let's just be real.
I'm not going to fight it.
The reason why he deserves an F is because since he has been in office, have people's conditions materially gotten worse? And the answer is yes.
Yep.
And could he have done anything to make them better, but didn't? Yes. And the answer is yes. Did he do anything to make people's lives materially worse? And the answer is yes. There is no other grade you can give him.
Even with these executive orders,
people's lives worse.
Even with these executive orders, like we have people coming back on, us talking about he's only been in for a month. Like nigga, you know how many executive orders he just signed?
Dude, those excuses make no sense. Those excuses make no sense.
He could have signed away. He could have got rid of medical debt, student loan debt. He could have legalized marijuana. There's so much shit he could have did.
And the reason why those excuses make no sense, because you guys realize, and this is what I was telling people, like expect Biden to get great coverage in his first 100 days. The people are like, oh, he just got in. That's dumb because you guys realize that the president usually gets best press during the first 100 days because he got a ton of political power. So people were saying, oh, Joe Biden just got in, so you can't be too hard on him. No, the first 100 days is supposed to be when you do the most shit. Like that's when you got the chance to actually, he got 60% approval rating for maybe media. I barely fucking believe that number, but I saw the approval rating like 60%. And that was all the presidents approval rating are high when they first get in. And then they already had the executive orders they got promised. So actually your first 100 days as president is supposed to be the most productive, not the opposite. So people who saying, oh, he just got in, that's why we shouldn't expect that much for him. That is like the exact opposite.
And that's to explain what? He just got in, so he shouldn't give us a $2,000 check? Like, what are they saying? He just
that pretty much that too. That's one topic they will bring that up on. Oh, how can you expect him to get released so fast? You just got in.
He said immediately.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Like, I didn't expect it. He said it, but
don't they have like
go back to my grade.
Where are you running to be the leader of this nation?
But like I was saying, the reason I gave him a D is sort of like what you said, Nick, because the F range is so broad. In my own brain, I need to be able to have a distinction when this gets way worse. Because this is going to get way worse than it is right today, right now. It's going to get way worse than his presidency.
What's that?
And I just don't, when it gets worse, I need to be able to say, yeah, we're at the F, and I don't want to give him the same letter grade. And that's the reason why I'm giving him a D, because it could be way worse, and it's gonna get way, like, we haven't even done any of the wars. He hasn't cut any of the things. He hasn't done any deals with the Republicans to cut any taxes. That's all gonna be coming. It's gonna get like way worse than it is right now.
Yeah, and I agree with a lot. I agree with a lot of the points that Jackie. Sorry, Jackie. I won't be long. I'll let you take over after this. I would say the only reason, and people always say, "How do you predict that Biden's gonna back away on this campaign promise?" How you do? Like, bro, it was obvious to me. So I guess, like, I agree with a lot of what Jackie's saying. I say the only reason I personally probably give him D, because I thought it was gonna be worse. That'd probably be the only reason. And Jackie said he ain't fixing anyone. That's a good point. That's a good reason to give him F. So I'm not really disagreeing on that. I'll just say I think like a lot of people like Biden way worse than I thought he was gonna be. I'm like, no, he actually haven't been as bad as I thought he was gonna be worse than this. But he has been doing a horrible job. So that's my rationale. Sorry, Jackie, go ahead.
Well, a couple of more things. He's also going to bring back the mandate, which nobody can afford right now. He has no plans on helping the people through this economic crisis that is not only ongoing, but is about to get exponentially worse. And I do agree with Compton J that he is going to get even worse. But to me, the difference is he's at 50%, which, like, when I was a kid, a D like ended at 59%, and or no, it started at 59%. So from 0 to like 59% was an F. Yeah. So he's at 50%. He could easily end up at like 2 or 1. And I don't think that he's, when you guys were talking about like, oh, is he worse than we thought? No, he's exactly what I knew what he was going to do, because he has almost 50 years of showing you what he was going to do. He's also a pathological liar. So I didn't think we were going to get $2,000 checks. I never put any faith in that, because he's a pathological liar. The only thing that I knew he was going to do was bring back the mandate, because if you really want to know what Joe Biden is actually going to do, don't pay attention to the words he says on CNN or to some little kid on a fucking town hall. Pay attention to what he says to his donors in the back rooms that are not supposed to be reported. That's the truth. When he said nothing will fundamentally change, he meant it. And look who is paying him. Those are the people that he is beholden to. Those are the only people he gives a damn about. And also, you have to remember, and we keep saying this, and I think people think we're kidding, but we're actually not. He is actually a Republican. He genuinely is a Republican, but with a Democrat name. Like, his policies, if you go back through his history, he was to the right of Reagan. And Reagan is the gold standard for conservatives. So
I mean what I say.
Exactly. So, like, am I surprised by anything he's done? Not at all. Am I surprised he like acts like Texas is another country or something? Nope. As a matter of fact, with his dementia, I'm surprised if he would know that Texas is part of the U.S. but that doesn't mean that he's not failed. So
I agree.
because
I hear you.
His like you were saying, when he comes in with that first 100 days is when you can get the most done, especially when you have both the House and the Senate. That's the time to get everything done, to build momentum so that you can do more later. You don't build momentum now, you're not getting anything later.
Think about that, Jackie, what you're saying. Think about that. So the Democrats have the House, the White House, and the Senate, and nothing is happening right now. They're on vacation.
But I'm not gonna violate the Constitution.
What's happening? Like
that's not true. Something is happening. They went on vacation.
Like, drill out a bunch of different legislation here. What's going on? Y'all on vacation.
I'm not gonna violate the Constitution. Read my lips. Hear what I say. Damn it. I'm not gonna violate the Constitution.
Yeah.
Hey, Rome, before I put the question to Jay, my good friend Jay in the chat, he wanted to know how high you are right now.
Oh shit. Hey, man, I'm like,
he was cracking me up. He was like, bro, what? He said the way Rome chilling his seat, bro, he has to be fucking high as fuck.
Oh yeah, I'm good, man. I'm just chilling, man. I'm like, I ain't gonna say I'm red, man. Let's just say I'm like, one of them high niggas. I'm like a Wiz Khalifa or something.
Nah, we 420 friendly here, bro. We actually encourage it. Anyway, with that said, my boy Jay cracking me up. Anyway, Jay, be fine. Now the pressure on you. You heard A1 scores. You heard us argue about it. So the pressure's on you. Where you get Joe Biden and why?
So I read in an article recently that Joe Biden is thinking about doing cuts to Medicare. I'm on Medicare. Not to mention that there is talks about him doing escalations militarily. And the backtracking on things like the $2,000 checks, of course, there is the way he's treating people in Texas right now. There's so much to critique him on. And that being said, I give him an F. You know, he is making people like the question always comes up every election. Is your life better than what it was 4 years ago? Our life hasn't been better than it was last year. In fact, it's crazy because Donald Trump actually gave us more in survival checks than Joe Biden has.
Yeah, that's a devastating
That's
fact.
not true. I got you the $600 down payment. Now you're getting the $1,200 equals $2,000. Listen, Jack,
it
you're
literally
wrong
killed
here.
me. It killed me when Bernie fucking repeated that shit.
Yeah, and my question is like, okay, so the whole $600 thing. Who gave us the $600? It was Donald Trump. So if you're trying to say you're trying to add the $600 onto the $1,400, then does that mean that your administration is an extension of Donald Trump's administration?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
One government.
Is that what Joe Biden's trying to tell us?
The real question is, where'd they get that $2,000 number?
Yeah.
They got it because Trump said it.
Yeah.
That's the devastating part.
And originally, who was some of the first people to say it? Some of the first people to say $2,000 was people like Bernie Sanders back in March.
And Trump was like, cool, fuck it.
Yeah. And then Donald Trump, he listened. That's the crazy part. Donald Trump listened. Joe Biden doesn't even listen. So
because Donald Trump just want to be popular, man. Like if enough black people was like, look, we'll vote for you. If you did this, we're gonna vote for you. Do it now, we're gonna vote for you. He gonna do it. He just want to be popular. He don't give a fuck about none of this. Like it's bringing the troops home.
The irony is we actually could have pushed Trump to the left because, like you said, like there was a point when the pandemic first happened. Trump actually said in a press conference, I'm thinking about we might have to, I don't know, expand Medicare and make it for everybody.
Yeah.
Right?
He literally said that. Joe Biden, in the middle of a pandemic, if it passes both the House and the Senate, would you sign it? Nah, I'd veto it.
Remember they brought
and here's my point. If Joe Biden did some of the things that we are advocating for, re-election, well, he's not going for another 4 years. But his popularity would go through the roof. Yeah. But like I said in a tweet, it is not lucrative for him to do so because he gets his money from his donors.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, his bribers.
Yes.
That's who he gets his money from.
Yes.
So therefore, to pass actual legislation that actually helps the people doesn't really benefit him financially. And this is the problem because greed is so ingrained within our political structure that to them, if it's not financially advantageous for them personally, then they're not going to do it. And this is one of the reasons why we stood behind people who didn't take corporate money, was because if they don't take corporate money, then they don't see it as financially advantageous to do what corporations want. But because that's who got voted in, now we have a corporate shill that's going to be doing what they want. This is why, for instance, we have him wanting to put in Cobra instead of a public option. This is why he actually expanded and approved, 1,300 permits for, oil drilling. This is one of the reasons why we have all these different things happening, which is actually making people's lives worse. So yeah, Joe Biden gets an F, and Joe Biden will always get an F until he actually implements things that improve the material conditions of people's lives.
You made a good point earlier too about Biden wanting to cut Medicare. I'm gonna give you the reason why. So the whole thing is with budget reconciliation. Budget reconciliation was used actually by the Republicans when they wanted their tax cuts, and what they did and how they got through is the Democrats co-signed it because apparently like included with PAYGO too, where you have to like label like how much something costs. And then you have to get a 60-vote majority in order to get it through. The Democrats did it to save Social Security and Medicare, knowing the tax cuts would actually be funded anyway. This is how bastardly evil the Republicans are and how good at their job. So in this context, Joe Biden is saying, look, you want the stimulus checks, okay, but I've been saying this whole time in my political career how we need to cut entitlements. Hey, I get to kill two birds with one stone, and I get your fucking vote. So that's basically what's going on right now. And here's why I think it's a double-edged sword. If you stop it, people get no relief checks, but you still have Social Security and Medicare. But if you go through with it, people get the relief checks, it burns out in a week, and then now you get more disastrous cuts to Social Security, Medicare for the parents or for poor people or for those who have medical conditions. And that's really the disastrous part. And also with the Democrats, there's this weird affiliation where you have to have one, but not the other. You can't have too much. But the Republicans are like, oh, you can't have any at all, fuck you. So it's just this, it's so annoying.
Yep, this is all great stuff. So I actually, we went a little long. I was planning on doing 2 hours, but we can do this all day. Before we wrap up, is there anything that you guys want to, anything in particular that you guys want to plug in, any other topic that is important that you guys want to bring up before you wrap up?
There is something I do want to plug. And that is Free Black America podcast. We're doing a lot of things just like this episode. It is very, very important that we Black leftists define themselves in media. Otherwise, they think everybody is down with Obama, and that's something that Jackie said in
very important
podcast. That is very, very important. The erasing of Black leftists is by design because they don't want other Black people to know there's Black people who are actually leftists. Everybody's just down with, Barack Obama. And so that's, to me, we, and that's us, we can't say those people. We have got to build a Black leftist network of people talking out, and it's very important that we cultivate that and we grow the Black left. Black people are leftists. They just don't label themselves as such. Black people believe in a living wage. They believe in Medicare for all. They believe in a Green New Deal. They believe in all those things. They just don't make the connection that they're a leftist. They believe in that, and then they vote Democrats because Democrats virtue signal the things that they believe, even though they never get it. It's a whole game, and I'm just glad that I was able to break out of that mindset not even like less than a year ago, if you could imagine, I was a liberal. Not no, a little over a year, not less than a little over a year ago. I was a liberal. I was proud of voting for Barack Obama. I was watching MSNBC every day. I thought Rachel Maddow was great. I thought Chris Matthews was great, and it was just the great brainwashing. And I'm just so happy that I'm out of that mindset. But it's very, very clear that the black left, in order for the left to be strong, I feel like the black left needs to grow in order for the left to be strong, because the left has enough white people, for example. The left needs more other people. It needs more other of everything else. And of course, we would be accepting of white people, more white people too. But the point that I'm trying to make is, if the left has 100 people, too many times I'm seeing 90 of those people are all white. You get what I'm saying? Like, it needs to be, there needs to be more, and it's up to us to get black people to understand you're really a leftist. Let me hear what do you believe in? This, and this. You understand this aligns with being a leftist, and then that's when you can start talking about different organizations, what you're doing on your YouTube, and so on. So that is something I just wanted to make sure everybody on here is pushing. It is absolutely important that is the case, that we grow the black left visibility. We're here, we just got to be more visible.
We had our conversation with Jay, Jackie, and me on my Twitch. We were streaming, and you can check that. I'll put your YouTube link in the chat as well while you was talking.
Yeah.
So you can check our conversation now on his YouTube page there. But you're gonna see a lot more of this. So I'm glad that we got a lot of comments, a lot of people seem to enjoy this conversation. So before officially, anything else you guys want to plug? I want to make sure everyone plug Rome, Jackie.
You know me. I'm the gingerbread man. You just gotta catch me when you can.
I like that.
I would say one thing I will plug is 3 podcasts I listen to. One is the Economic Update by Richard Wolff.
I love that show. Hell yeah.
Marxist, which I think is very influential if you want to learn about economics. One I will plug is Bad Faith Pod. I actually like that one, that has Virgil Texas and Brianna Joy Gray. Another one I listen to occasionally is The Tightrope by Dr. Cornel West, Nick's favorite, and Trisha Rose. They do a great podcast too. They also did one too about the new movie that came out, Judas and the Black Messiah. I thought that was pretty well too. And the other one I listen to is Crystal Kyle and Friends. I think that's pretty interesting. They have some good dialogue. And, I think podcasts and stuff like that do help people, because just 3 years ago, I used to be a conservative because I was an Obama person. Then I became a libertarian. And so I went from an Obama stan to a Beto stan.
I remember
that was in the Beto phase. Hell yes, we'll take away your guns. That was God. And then I was a Mayor Pete. Mayor Pete stan, then I became a Warren stan, then I became a Bernie stan. So I slowly got in the right direction.
Yeah, me and Jackie, we discuss in great detail our liberal roots, and it's pretty interesting to hear Jay discuss his time as liberal. I literally just tweeted today. I was going through my closet and I found this shirt. I don't know if you guys saw the tweet. Maybe I'll show my audience here before we land. If you guys don't know what kind of shit lib I was honestly shocked when I saw this shirt. I was digging through my closet, cleaning some stuff up here for you guys. Check this out. We still have the dream, Obama 2008. And then next you see Martin Luther King Jr., Nelson Mandela, and Malcolm X being compared to Brock.
Shirt?
Yes. Like, sorry I don't got it on the Zoom, but I got it on my stream. You can check my Twitter out as well. But I saw this shirt, I was like, bro, what the fuck was wrong with me? What the fuck? Bro, this is the dumbest shirt I've ever seen in my life. The only thing you can say in my defense was, I guess this was technically before Obama was a war criminal, but he was never a Malcolm X or MLK leftist because he was always funded by Wall Street. He literally came out against his radical pastor. So I mean, I guess the shirt not bad, like as bad as was then as it now, but because he didn't do all the things that will make it so the idea comparison with him, MLK, Malcolm X, but it's still a horrific shirt. I mean, especially now, it's a horrific shirt. But so I'll show this to my stream. This was my and I'll show my tweet before Obama. We all had that phase. And that's why it's very interesting. I'm glad you guys brought that up because it's crazy how quick you can turn. I want to take good information. And that's why we out here doing our conversations because more Black people need to hear it. Because I turn people just like that. Sorry, I'm going along again. Anything else you guys want to add, JB Font, Jackie? Anything?
Hey, once we go off live, you guys gonna stick around so I can chat with you a couple minutes, right?
Yeah,
I remember this shirt.
Yeah.
Stay on when we go off live. Stay on so we can have a short conversation real quick.
Yeah. Okay, we can do that. I don't mind.
Okay.
I'm sure, Joe. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank everyone for watching. If you enjoyed, once again, we didn't be throwing more to the panel. I kind of did this in middle out of nowhere. I was like, man, I want to do another fucking conversation with Compton, and I invited a lot of people, and it was fun, and I'm glad a lot of people enjoyed the conversation. So follow, subscribe.
You know, if you cut off now, you are like permanently canceled, right?
No, I'm not cutting off. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good.
Saying.
I'm good. So follow, subscribe, check us out because you're gonna see a lot more of us. And even when we don't have a super panel, you're gonna see me, Jay, me or Rome, me and RJ. You're already gonna see a duo of us. So go ahead, Jay.
I just wanted to say to anybody who's listening, don't forget those of us who are infirm or disabled. A lot of times, a lot of people who are like that get forgotten. Especially those of us who are people of color, we get, forgotten a lot. And right now, if you can help those who are in need of mutual aid, those who want to protest, but they're unable to get out, you can do things to assist them, to get their voice out there. Just help support them, especially because they are the ones who get put on the back burner or not even put on the stove, period, by the liberals and conservatives. So if you can do that at the most, do the best you can with that, then that is greatly appreciated as well.
That's perfectly well said. That's literally the best way to end it. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. You're going to see a lot more of this panel and even more.